Imagine that your loved one died on the job and you were left completely in the dark. That's been the reality for the family of Steve Wink. He was the PG&E utility worker who died in a fire zone just 2 years ago. And his family, they still have no answers.
I was a PG&E wife for 35 years. I'm devastated how they handled this. I don't think anybody should be treated like this on any fatality of a family.
As Steve Wink's family prepares for their now second Christmas without him, they are suing Solano County for mishandling the investigation of his death, and it may never fully be explained. Brandon Ritteman with our Firepower Money team breaks down the lawsuit and has an update on what PG&E is and isn't doing for the family since we first brought you this story.
Veteran PG&E troubleman Steve Wink died here, on the job, during the LNU complex wildfire in 2020. But you wouldn't know that reading his death certificate. It simply says he died of natural causes.
The death certificate is important to me because it reflects how he died. And to me, it's falsified. Bottom line.
Kim Wink, Steve's widow, says she's asked and asked, but Solano County won't amend the death certificate, even though officials from the sheriff and coroner's office told her on camera they shouldn't have treated Steve's death as natural.
It's absolutely an industrial accident, okay, and it should have been documented.
It's left Kim and her family in a kind of limbo.
This is a complex grief because there's no answers. And Steve was the rock of our family.
Society has a right and need to know how people are dying.
Kim's attorney, Tim Walsh, filed suit calling the coroner, who's also the sheriff of Solano County, negligent. A county spokesperson didn't reply to our request for comment on the lawsuit. Sheriff Tom Ferrara declined to be interviewed for our investigation, which found a cascading series of failures in his office.
An Amazon package gets better tracking than my husband's body did that day.
We found evidence of injuries to Steve, evidence that was destroyed when the coroner allowed Steve's body to be harvested for tissue donation before his official autopsy. That tissue donation wasn't disclosed in the coroner's report, which violates the county's own procedure. And the coroner's office also destroyed evidence on its own, the clothes that Steve was wearing when he died. Most concerning, though, to Kim,
people are dying in the community and they're not going out to the scene.
Solano County deputies got the call.
It sounds like he died, and it was a PG&E worker.
Oh, no. Okay.
I guess deputies will be needed.
And they didn't go. Why wouldn't they? It's unexplainable.
There's no record of the sheriff coroner's office going to the scene. Our investigation obtained these photographs of colleagues trying to revive Steve that day. They show damaged trees, utility lines, and Steve Wink's PG&E truck, all evidence the authorities let vanish.
Even if they wanted to investigate, 24 hours later, there was nothing. The whole place was cleaned up, almost like a crime scene. It's cleaning up before the police come.
There's one thing in those photos that gives the most reason to question the official story of how Steve died. Damage to Steve's PG&E truck. This metal ladder rack lying on the ground, it used to be bolted on top of Steve's truck. Here, it ripped off of these bolts, which used to hold it on.
There's no do-overs in this. It's gone. I mean, the scene is gone, so that was your one chance.
Pathologist Mike Doberson was a longtime coroner in Colorado. He investigated the Columbine shooting and other major tragedies. He called Solano County's investigation inadequate. And because of that, he says, we'll probably never know for sure what exactly killed Steve Wink.
There's a very strong possibility that something happened other than a natural disease process that led to his death.
Kim Wink wants the county to admit that on his death records. Her lawsuit also asks for damages you can't put a price on, the pain of never knowing how her husband died. Also damages she can put a price on, lost benefits that she would have received if his death was ruled accidental. On that front, Kim shared a positive development.
They will retro Steve's benefits back to me, which is the medical bank. that they denied me at the beginning.
Since our first stories aired back in May, PG&E wrote Kim to say that it changed its rules for surviving spouses and will now pay her that benefit. The company also lowered her monthly medical premium.
I think it's a great win for the widows. I mean, for me, all I could think about if I was in my 20s when Steve and I had 3 little kids, I would have lost everything without these benefits. And now I know that other families, are going to get it. It's nice that they're changing their policies, but there's still a lot that they haven't answered.
Kim says she's still shocked PG&E hasn't told her what it knows about her husband's death.
I didn't even know where he died for 5 months. 5 months. To this day, 2.5 years, they never have sat me down and talked to me about Steve's death on that day.
Kim still wants that sit down, not to be consoled. She says PG&E has explaining to do.
Well, I would like to know where the ladder rack is.
Who sent Steve up alone into the fire zone? Who took his truck down off the hill? What did the company learn from the evidence it gathered?
It would be nice to know these answers to these questions. I think as a widow and as the representative of the Wink family, it would be nice to know what they know so we can move forward.
Now, we did send a request for comment to the public relations people at PG&E, but they didn't provide a comment on this story.
And Brandon, one of the things that sticks out to me in this story is that ladder, that rack. What do we know about it?
It's a big, heavy metal thing. It runs the length of the bed of the pickup truck, and it held his ladder securely on it while he would drive around. This thing got ripped off the top of the truck, and that means there was some pretty significant forceful event that happened because the bolts actually ripped out of the metal frame of the thing, according to the maintenance worker at the yard where Steve worked. This would be a whole different ballgame if someone had gone out to the scene and measured how far away from the truck it landed, took pictures of it, studied it. Those are the things that really didn't happen here, and that's why we have so many open questions.
In this case, honestly, it wouldn't make sense in any other circumstance. I mean, if you think about a car crash and your loved one being in a vehicle and no authorities showing up and an ambulance just taking your loved one away, that would seem crazy, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, well, and you had the sheriff's officials admitting to Kim Wink that they should have treated this as an industrial accident. But there's also sort of a disconnect that I see here in the way that different workers inside of fire zones are treated. If he was a firefighter, if he was in a red truck, Steve's death would have been documented 9 ways till Sunday. There would have been a report this thick about where he went, what everyone else he was with had done that day, and pictures of the scene. We don't have that. And the bottom line is one of the big reasons we don't is because he was in a blue truck, not a red truck.
And is there any legislation that the family is working to make some of those changes?
They've been trying to engage lawmakers, and they'd very much love to see legislation that treats these utility workers more like other first responders in fires. And they'd be happy as anything if one of these lawmakers would give them a call.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much. We appreciate it as always.